See, normally when we are talking about learning, we are focusing on one learning system, what we call the cognitive learning system. Now today research is telling the whole brain research and certain areas of experimentation, and if you have read the book The Learning Revolution, it focuses on what we call accelerated learning, and there are other researches also come up in our what we call the Asian countries, whether it is East Asia, West Asia, South Asia or East Asia, that is basically. So what I'm going to do is quickly go through this session. Can we have one more people? Quickly go through this session. What are some of the learning system and what is it focusing on? Now the first thing it is focusing, okay, we have a little bit, it started with this Bulgarian psychiatrist who has found, what is that, children could learn 3 times faster language, something which would take 6 months or 9 months, they're able to do it in 3 weeks or a month. And so also for us to catch up with all this technology, information, we need to know certain skills, how we can quickly update ourselves. So that is basically what this issue is about. There are what we call today, a new stress has been given on the emotional learning system. What is this emotional learning system? Let me explain to you. So the emotional learning system, today, how do I use emotions in my learning? That's all it is talking about. And so to bring the right climate in the classroom is so important. Now, what is the understanding of the emotional learning system? Am I loud enough? Okay. So what today system is saying, there is a link between mind, body, spirit. But for this emotional system, we are going to see the link between the mind and the body. So we have the mind and the body. So what is the link between? So in the mind, we have the thoughts. The thoughts springs from our mind. And in our body, we have what we call feelings, emotions. Okay? Now broadly, to help our discussion, we categorize our feelings into 2 parts. The positive feelings, I feel happy today, enthusiastic, cheerful, bubbling with joy, romantic, all these are positive feelings. And I feel lethargy, sad, lonely, confused, all those negative feelings. Now they have done this research. What happens when I have in these body feelings, what happens in the brain? Today all these connections have been done. So what they have found out, that when I have positive feelings, there is in the brain chemicals, endorphins have been generated. Endorphins. Now endorphins are like opiates. Opiates are what we call opiates. Makes us do things, repeat things. So suppose I have an experience, a good experience with a friend, I want to meet this friend again. Suppose I've experienced a wonderful sunset, I like to go to this experience. So because the opiates have the desire, brings crave in our body to repeat these experiences. So these are positive. This positive generates what we call endorphin. When we have negative feelings in our body, the chemical release are called cortisol. C-O-R-T-I-S-O. Cortisol. These chemicals are released. This is the first part of an experiment that was done And there was another experiment that was done, and then we combined both these experiments, what you are required, how do we can do this updating. The second experiment that was done is that in our experience there are days where I can concentrate well, faster, I can understand, comprehend quickly, I can sit down for long hours and not get tired reading a book, but there are days, you know, you sit down and nothing seems to be going inside, can't comprehend. Those the VHC know that. So what are the days where we can comprehend, grasp the meaning faster? It is, they have found out that when in the mind there is this endorphin, they what? They aid learning, they assist learning. Okay? And it is found that when there is cortisol in the mind, they inhibit learning. It makes learning difficult. Okay. Now what is this? Is research. This much is research. Now we are transferring this research into the classroom and into our personal life. Now, if I want to understand, comprehend, grasp things fast, want children to learn faster, better, easier, what I should ensure? There is in the brain endorphins, because it will aid learning. But how will I get these endorphins? If I am able to create positive feelings in the students. So the trick of the game is the way you come to the class, the way you built up the rapport, the word of encouragement, collaborative approach, you know, all those little things that are there. If you are able to do that, it will make your teaching faster. It will make your teaching faster. You get this point? If on the other side, if I am having a prejudice towards students, or students have had a very bad experience, and I am not in one sense addressing those negative issues, then the students will find it difficult. Now what they are saying is, this cortisol normally also has this function of killing memory cells. It kills memory cells. So if you have had a very traumatic experience or a blackout you understand, some experience take place, but we cannot remember. Why can't we remember? These, when we have a negative experience, when there is a sudden spurt of cortisol, it will kill that part of the memory. And so, one of the things is God has given in our body a natural way to take, like a safety valve, Okay. So, now what does this mean? This means that if you want to help students to learn, the emotional learning system has nothing to do with the subject, nothing to do with the, the method, but it is so important if to make our life easier in teaching and to help us also to learn to use this thing in the learning system. So, let's take a little bit of, so it is said, the chemical release with positive and negative emotion are the same involved in aiding or inhibiting memories. And so then I say, so what, those are there in your paper, capture students' attention. So teachers, if we are, that's why I always tell teachers that if you go to the class and you start the class without capturing the students' attention, then you're going to face an uphill task. It will drain your energy. Never start a class unless you get a full attention of students. Otherwise you are going to cause, you'll simply be stressful and you'll be spending a lot of time dealing with the students. So greet students with a smile, have some way. I know you're busy, I know you have so many stress, but when the students approach you, have that little smile. It will help you in your own stress and dealing with it. Here you don't have to worry about corporal punishment, but emotional put downs. emotional put down. Sometimes we can be the non-verbal emotional put down. You do not matter to me. So some of these things. Build up a warm rapport with students. Now I know it's difficult giving them positive feedback. Correct them in a positive way. Clarify their doubts. Then resolve students' fight and misgiving. Now suppose they have had games and they have been having fights there. You need to address them. You cannot simply say, I want all of you to keep quiet, pay attention to me. No. And neither does it mean you spend the whole time discussing their problem. Okay, you have had a problem, there has been some confusion, we shall deal with it. Address that issue and you proceed further. Focus on students' strength. If you are able to build up, good idea. Give them that courage. Let us see, let us do things together. Speak in positive terms. Counsel students with emotional difficulty. Now, counseling does not mean that we are going to spend a lot of time. It means that plus something in a very short-term measures, if you can do that. And relax in students' comfort. So the emotional learning system is an experience that you need to give in the class so that you are able to help students. Is that first point clear about the emotional learning system? So you have your children, and so one of the best ways you want to get results from your own children is to encourage, is to build them up emotionally. So that is what this learning system is talking about. We go to the second one, we are all in this area of, it is called the social learning system. The social learning system, this is something which we are not doing very much. Slowly there is a lot of, even your MOE is saying, move into collaborative approaches. So MO is also talking about social networking, all those other approaches. So what is the social learning system simply saying is, all of us have a basic need to belong. We will like to relate. We will like to talk. So it is saying, use this basic need in your teaching, learning experience. That means in your classroom, have ways in which the students are relating to each other. When they relate to each other, they learn better. So one of the things is, today have interactive classroom. I know there is a heavy dose of stuff that you have to give. You have to use technology, but somewhere down the line, you need to give students to work in groups, to work in pairs, but the interactive classroom will ensure that there is a lot of comprehension taking place. So just quickly to that. So it is there saying, human beings have a strong need to belong, to associate, to cooperate, and they generally learn better working together. Generally learn better. But in many of our things, it is all one thing. So teachers support learning when they incorporate cooperation and group work in their teaching. And some of the things to do in the classroom is, so teachers support learning when they incorporate cooperation and group work in the teaching. So what we need to do is incorporate pair share strategy, which we all know. You teach them a topic, okay, now share it among yourself. What are the main points? Or you can have small group discussion. Or you can have a little quiz there. Or you can have collaborative activity like storytelling. If you're in the junior classes, a lot of storytelling is a good way to do it. Encourage students to belong to a group. Okay? This is clear? Okay, I'm going a little fast because we are all teachers, we can pick this thing much more. The third learning system is called what we call the cognitive learning system. This is what many of us are doing, and in the Indian setup this is pretty strong, question and answers. You teach, you ask questions, you get the answers. But I like you to pay attention to two areas. What are the two areas? All of us know which we will come in the later session, we go into detail. We know there are different levels that we have in our cognitive development. In our cognitive development, the basic level we will call in Bloom's taxonomy is knowledge. And then we have what we call comprehension. Then we have what we call application. Then analysis. You have then synthesis. And then we have the evaluation. Now what we need to pay attention is, that as you go up, the difficulty level increases. Difficulty level increasing means you are developing the cognitive part of it. Okay? And this is what many of you are doing. You have to get your ranks, you have to get students into the topmost grades, and this is the trick of the game. Yesterday I was sharing that I was a principal of a vernacular school. Vernacular school is a Hindi medium. It was not an English medium, so I was not getting the topmost students. But with this methodology, we were getting students into the national competitive exam where the topmost coaching classes were not able to do. So what is the trick of the game is, if you want to get good ranks, if you want to help students to perform at top levels, you need to have a fairly good idea about questioning skills and how you use that in the classroom. Now we have a system in India which people from America and all had come to Patna where I am. We call it the Super 30. Super 30 is, we take 30 very poor students, economically, socially very poor, and we train them for a year. And our experience have been for the last 8 years, 100% result. All the top, all the 30 have made it into IIT. IIT is the national prestigious exam, where people are spending 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs to get into coaching. We are able to do these things. So this is, and so people today, they become a role model. People from all over the world are coming. What is the system you are using so that you can get the students from here to perform at this level? Okay. So the trick of the game is, you must know how do you lead students upwards. How do you lead students? So the type of questions that are there is so crucial. So as you go up, the difficulty level increases. That means you're developing their cognitive level, difficulty level. And the second thing is, you cannot do comprehension unless you have mastery over knowledge, competence. You cannot do application unless you have mastery over knowledge and comprehension. You cannot do analysis unless you have mastery. So this is also the implication. So these are the two implications. We'll come into it then just after some time. We will do those things there. Okay. The next thing which I want to do is, so let us try to, So what we need to do is ask questions at all levels. Knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis. So ask questions at all levels. The next is encourage the PSQ4R approach. You know this approach? All of you? PSQ4R approach. It's a simple approach which you can do for yourselves, which you can do for students. P means purpose, S means survey, Q means question. The 4R, first R is read, recite, reflect, review. What does it mean? That when you want to study, when you want to update yourself, be clear on your purpose. Okay? The second thing is, kindly go to the text or to the lesson. Have a quick survey. Then you must pose questions. Change the subtopic into question form. Take for example, light is the topic. There is what we call, say, definition of reflection, laws of reflection, okay? And then you have refraction, refractive index, etc. Now how will I pose the question? Suppose there is no question at the end of the chapter. I say, what is reflection? what are the laws of, convert the subtopic into a question. Now, once you have the question, then you read. If you have no question and don't read, the brain does not know what you want. So before reading, you must have the question. Then the brain will try to find the answer for what you're reading. So today the brain will only do work what you tell it. If you don't have the question, you read, it will take a long time. So you read. After reading, you recite, say in your own words. Say in your own words. That means you summarize it. Then you reflect over it. What is it saying? What are the implications? Make your connections. Make your connection. And then you review. Okay? This is what is called, this is a very important, a simple technique, but a very important technique in study. I have a book on study skills. I have written 8 books. I have 4 in English and 4 in the vernacular. Then you give a lot of examples and illustration. This is another thing to ensure learning faster. If you're able to give a lot of examples from the topic, from other subject, comprehension takes better. You have open book tests so that you are giving students to analyze and synthesize, make students ask questions and present case studies. So this is another area in which we are dealing with cognitive. Okay, we have taken a little break here. Any questions so far?